What's poppin', players? Welcome back to the Two Penny Game Club, your monthly video game book club. I am your host, Tavin Bothel, here with my good friends and co-hosts. Say hello to the people, Connor, Elliott.
Hello. I was curious as to who you were going to say first, since someone replaced me last time, and I guess that means they're the number two now.
Replay? You were on vacation, or you were doing like a little what are they called?
Convention?
Convention thing. Lord alive, I cannot think of words today.
I was ousted, is what happened.
Also, that's a different video. Like this is the game club, not the Two Penny Games cast.
Exactly.
Oh,
yeah.
dang
Get
it.
it correct, Connor. Yeah, the
God,
great point there. Say hello to the people, Phil Shoemaker.
Yeah, that's me. I replaced Connor on the Two Penny Games cast last week.
He's the permanent host now. He's just there at all times every week.
Is that because of what I just said? Is that why?
Well, it's your behind-the-scenes toxic workplace behavior, Connor. We're just going to slowly phase you out before you get canceled on Twitter.
You
because it's because of that man that you skinned and flayed and degloved his hands. And
Jesus
Christ! At least haven't had the decency to be nondescript. Thanks.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Two Penny Game Club, your monthly video game book club in which me, Connor, and Phil, we all sit down together during the month. In the background, we play a video game, and we come back to you at the beginning of each new month and review it for your viewing pleasure. We have done games such as God of War Ragnarok, The Last of Us, Chrono Trigger, Portal, and this month we are doing Shadow of the Colossus. A quick, what is it called? Not an asterisk. What is like a quick, God, I'm really bad with words today.
I think asterisk is what you're looking
disclaimer. A quick disclaimer is what I'll say. Normally I record the B-roll for every game we review, or one of us records the B-roll for every game we review. I did do that this month, but then somehow lost that footage. So I pulled up real quick, Shadow of the Colossus PS4 gameplay, no commentary, and that's what you're watching on screen right now in the little bottom right corner there.
From who?
Shirako?
Shira? Yeah.
I think they have 1.97 million 1.97 million subscribers on YouTube. So they're doing a lot better than us. So it's okay. A lot better than us. So, gentlemen, some quick facts for you before we get all the way into it. Shadow of the Colossus, October 18th, 2005. That is its initial release date, having a Metacritic score of 91. A user score of 9.1. Shadow of the Colossus on PS2 sold around, I had the number, and now I've lost the number, 2.7 million copies on the PS2, and I think that's also for the PS3 version as well, is where that comes in. And then off of Wikipedia, I pulled this because I thought it was an interesting little quote. Shadow of the Colossus has been cited as an influence on various games, including God of War 2, God of War 3, Titan Souls, Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, Death's Gambit, Pray for the Gods, and Elden Ring. Film director Guillermo del Toro considers both Ico and Shadow of the Colossus as masterpieces and part of his directorial influence. Shadow of the Colossus is also cited numerous times in debates regarding the art quality and emotional perspectives of video games. 91 on Metacritic. It is the let me scroll back up and find the actual thing. It is the 11th highest rated game of 2005. We all played the PS4 Bluepoint remake version of the game, which also has a 91 on Metacritic, but a 7.8 on user scores. Not as friendly the gaming audience to the remake version for, you know, whatever reason they want to do it. And the remake, from what I can see from VG charts, sold about 1.2 million copies. So, just a successful game, huge legacy, big game, and now we've played it. Now, gentlemen, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm the only one on this panel who has played Shadow of the Colossus prior to this review.
Yes.
I think that's true, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And so, because of that, I don't think my take is very interesting. But I do want to hear the take of one Phil Shoemaker.
First? I'm going first?
I want to hear before anybody has any words, because it's worth noting, normally when we do these things, like we're just like texting in the group chat, hey, I'm this far, hey, I'm this far, I feel this way about the game. We were very conversational about Yakuza 0. When we reviewed Yakuza 0 last month, we were talking up a storm in the group chat. I said, hey guys, for this one, try your best. Don't look up any guides, but if you have to, then go ahead and do it. And let's keep the talking about the game to a minimum until we get to review, because I think it'd make for a more interesting conversation if we all come in blind on how we feel about the game. And so, well, let me start first. Gentlemen, did either of you use any type of guide or anything?
No. I mean, I started, so about 3 Colossi in, I put on the Game Grumps playthrough just for old times. But, like, I was always ahead of where they were, so I was never, like, really using them for a guide.
Gotcha.
But I was just remembering, it was just a throwback, because I couldn't help but think of it after.
Very interesting. All right. Phil, tell me how you feel, and what are your thoughts on Shadow of the Colossus?
All right, so as many of you know, Shadow of the Colossus is a third-person open-world horse-type game. Before you know, Breath of the Wild or other things like what's another horse type? Red Dead.
Elden Ring-ish.
Elden Ring, yeah, that kind of thing. And I was surprised at how short this game was. Very simple. I liked how subtle the narrative was. It was very much not I mean, as little of a narrative there is, I did still enjoy the overall, like, subtlety that was just in, hey, this next Colossus is here, my girlfriend's dead, I have to go kill that thing, and all these other Colossi to resurrect her, right? Or perform this resurrection ritual. Anyway, so yeah, you're sent off by this god, I can't remember his name, or its name, to go kill all these 16 different Colossi, to try to resurrect your girlfriend. I thought each individual Colossus having its own, like, different way for you to defeat it. I liked that it kind of sometimes you needed your horse to help run around to, like, keep up with some of their speed. Some of them are pretty speedy. I didn't really like. There was only, I think, overall I liked more than I didn't like when it comes to the Colossi. I'm not going to get into the nitty gritty of all those different ones, like which ones are my favorite and all that, but I was overall satisfied with the variety that we got as far as the Colossi went. Also, kind of a fan of the kind of when you're just exploring and you see fruit in the trees, or like you see a lizard crawling around, it could be like a health upgrade. Like you can just eat it and then upgrade your health. I also really liked the stamina mechanic in this game, where basically it's based on your grip, not so much like getting tired. It's you can only hold on to something for so long until you need to, like, take a break and let it recharge and all that. I thought that was pretty satisfying to as far as, like, climbing Colossi or parkouring on things like that. I thought that was very fun. Aggro is probably one of the best horses in all of video games. What a great little guy that guy is. Good companion. Its name was Wander. Is that the protagonist's name? Right?
Yeah, he's just called the Wanderer or Wanderer.
Okay. I saw something that just said Wander.
Yeah.
But there was just something about this game that I felt it was kind of overhyped, because I feel like while I liked this game, I don't think, at least in the time that we are now, where we have games as big as, like, God of War Ragnarok, or as big as Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom now, coming back, you're able to appreciate how this kind of was an inspiration for all these games. Elden Ring, like we already said, but you can get how like this, it just feels very bare bones, you know. You can kind of see that this was like the baseline in terms of exploration, how you interact with the world, and because it's all physics based, right? So like everything that you interact with in this world is like physics based. Is that not true? I thought I heard that.
There's not a lot you're interacting with, but
Yeah.
like, I mean, I wouldn't really call it like physics based outside of like being flung off of a Colossus's back or something.
Okay. Maybe that's I was going too far then. But I just loved seeing the basis of what all of the new open world games would eventually become. And you can totally see like all these other, like when you think back to these other games that I mentioned, drew from Shadow of the Colossus, you can see the influences, like just thinking about them while playing this game. You know, it's like, oh yeah, I recognize this from this game over here, and I recognize this whole scene, this whole sequence where I'm jumping from platform to platform, like back and forth on walls and stuff. I can see where that is on in this game, right? Um, Overall, I'd say I enjoyed this game, but you, I mean, it is it a must play? I don't know if I think it's that much of a must play because, like, I don't know, I like the games that we got from it better than this game. I think that's kind of where I'm at with it. Um, I can appreciate that this is like one of the classics because back then we didn't really have that much, at least in terms of like sprawling open world interaction with all these like huge boss characters. Um, did you guys get jump scared by some of like the death screens? I only had like 3 or so deaths in my playthrough, but there was a death on one of the colossi that when it happened, I think it was my first death, and that's why it scared me so bad. Like it was just the face close up, and it jump scared me. I was like, "What the fuck?"
Oh, really? Interesting.
Actually, yeah.
Nah, I mean, I do think it's very like ominous and like almost it sort of adds like a scary thriller like tone to it, but I think the rest of the game doesn't really match that, so it's just kind of interesting.
I think on another level where it jump scared me so bad is because like the music kicked in so fast out of just being really quiet. So it was like a combo of sound and like the thing flashing up on my screen at the same time. It just startled me.
Got you. Connor, how did you feel about Shadow of the Colossus?
Well, disclaimer that I neglected to say earlier. I didn't play this game before, but way back in the day when I was younger, probably in elementary school, I watched my brother play this game on PS2. So going into this game, I knew the framework of the story and what would end up happening, but I had completely forgotten what happened with each of the individual colossi. So it was a whole new experience for me to fight those and get to the meat of the game. Which, at the end of the day, similarly to Phil, I had been expecting this game to be one of the best games since how people talk about it all the time, but it was overhyped, overrated, I would say. Not in a bad way, in the sense of it minimizes the positives of the game, which are still there. But to play a game that you would think is going to be of the upper echelon of video games to be just a good one was a bit disappointing. But ultimately, at the end of the day, the enormousness of the colossi and going up against them really makes you understand why that was the case. Back on the PS2, playing and fighting against these massive enemies must have been pretty, unique to the gaming world at that time, and left a large impression on people to get that overrated status, or at least get that hyped up status. But that aside, it was an interesting puzzle game. Usually you wouldn't think of this when you see it to be a puzzle game, but all of it's about climbing up the colossi, getting to the spots where they have the weak points, and stabbing them. And each one provided a pretty unique experience. Sometimes it would be frustrating, particularly off how you would move. For example, sometimes you'd have to be in water, and you would go incredibly slow, and it didn't really amp up the difficulty, more like the annoyance and the slowness of certain colossi, which every now and then the pacing would be off in how you beat these enemies, but really most of it was up to you finding out the secret of how to beat them, since each one has its own little puzzle-solving mechanic that you have to get around to beat the colossi. The landscape of this game, I should say the environment of the game really lends itself a lot to why it's considered so great. I love games that have long, wide open fields, animals running around, bright blue, well, not really bright blue sky, but a sky up above. I like those kinds of imageries. It's one of the reasons why I really liked Breath of the Wild when I played it back in the day, which once again goes to show you that influence that would go on to inspire many of those other games that we previously talked about. But
not trying to interrupt you, but I think I'm a huge slut when it comes to like ruins, like exploring getting to explore old ruins. That's just it does something to my brain. I like it.
You get to do a lot of that because there's a lot of environmental storytelling. Seeing this, supposed ancient civilization having collapsed, the main villain of the game, had a part in it possibly. It's like you said, the plot itself isn't really specific on the details, but it allows you just kind of, almost like when you go to an ancient ruin in today's day and age, and you can kind of inference what happened, what civilization used to sprout here, and really that lends itself to the environment. It's one of the most striking things about this game, in addition to the colossi. the lack of other things to do other than fight the Colossi does hamper the game's experience, which is why I just continuously fought Colossi since I saw no incentive to go around the open world, which the most you could really do from what I could tell. I didn't even know about the lizard upgrades, but you could, get artifacts, collectibles, which if you like that kind of thing, this is probably be a very good game for you, but I'm not really a big fan of that. So that part of the game was kind of lost on me. And it does kind of show, okay, you kind of get tired of fighting the same enemy over and over and over again. Because whereas most other puzzle games rely a lot on just going, like Portal, for example. You're set in a room, and you move around quickly, and it's very just, classic in terms of the puzzle experience. Well, this one's unique, which, like I said, really is good sometimes when you're fighting against those giant colossi, and that scale really impresses you. But for the most part, after that wore off, I would kind of be left, okay, how do I solve this puzzle? And it didn't really stick with me in any way. It didn't make me feel like, wow, I found this puzzle. It was really just like, oh, I noticed the thing that you could, do to get on the colossi, and I'm going to, gently climb on them and stab them in a spot, and then it's done. One thing I do like is how when the colossi die, it kind of has like this very somber tone, and it kind of just makes you feel bad. You're like, oh my god, I didn't like he was just walking around. He wasn't doing anything to anybody. I'm in the Forbidden Lands, and he came and I just killed him.
I interrupted this guy's nap.
Yeah, right.
Literally.
Yeah, so that part of the game has like that emotional touch to it, which is what it needs when it has such a lacking of other gameplay mechanics, and it's very straightforward in what it's trying to tell you to do, which is fight these colossi. Visually, it also looks very great. Obviously, this is a remake, so it looks better than the PS2 version, but even then, it would be just as striking as it was when I played it. But overall, I did enjoy my time with the game. There's very little negative I can say, but it doesn't seem like the positives are really that much to talk about, especially given the hype that is centered around this game. It doesn't really, that hype doesn't do the game itself justice, even though it is a fun game.
For sure.
Yeah, and that kind of brings me to where I'm at. What's interesting about Shadow of the Colossus to me is that they don't make games like this anymore. Like,
No.
even the ones that are inspired by it and take great influence by it, your Breath of the Wild or your Elden Rings or even your God of War's new era or old era, the way they take influence of it is in, like, wide breadth, huge environments, and expansive valleys and mountains and plains that you can run through and stuff. And the game's use of negative space and how, hey, we're going to give you an empty world, but that is going to be what's makes this game special. And games later on, every game after this has just like still been a video game, and this game isn't really focused on being a video game. It really is just kind of focused on being an art piece. It is just trying to set a mood, a tone, give you a little bit of just gameplay, work your brain type stuff. But for the most part, it's really just trying to give you an emotional experience from beginning to end. Now, what's funny is that I think the game actually falls short when it chooses to be a video game over the art piece. I'm thinking specifically of like the final Colossus or sort of the in-game after you beat the game type stuff you can do, where you can do speed runs and you can unlock new weapons and stuff for you to use against Colossus. And none of that really is interesting to me in sort of the, no pun intended, in the shadow of the emotional statement that the game makes during the playthrough. Honestly, if you never beat the game, I don't blame you, because it's not really a game that wants you to beat it. It's a game that wants you to experience it. I've played this game once before in its entirety, which it was also on this PS4 remake by Bluepoint, which, Connor, you brought up it being a remake and how the environments look great. Great job, Bluepoint, on the environments. The lighting and the ambiance and the smoke and how everything looks and just the texture detail looks fantastic. But, there's still just like a focus on giving you the true experience of the game, how it felt, how it plays, all of that, which I really, really, I respect from that perspective. I think this game has an incredible mood throughout its entire thing. It's an incredible atmosphere throughout its entire experience.
Yeah.
I sort of, it's really interesting because if you put your mind back in the PS2 era, you're looking at, early to mid 2000s. This game came out in 2005. So you're looking at Ratchet and Clanks, you're looking at Jack and Daxter's, you're looking at Kingdom Hearts, and you're looking at Metal Gear Solid. And then like just random stuff shoved in between, maybe some World War II war games or something like that. But like this is the only one that's just so not focused on being a video game. It's so focused on just trying to elicit a sort of a subtle emotion out of you, not through gripping dialogue or story or narrative, but just mood and tone and atmosphere. I always say Last of Us Part 2 is gaming's first true tragedy. This game is the closest to that. I think it misses the mark on being an actual tragedy, just in the fact that it leaves you with a sense of hope by the end. Instead of like this like soul crushing, oh my God, this sucks feeling like Last of Us Part 2 does. And I think that's another one of the reasons where it's like it's a shortcoming because it's a video game, is because it's like, oh, well, we're a game. We're probably a lot of children, maybe in their early teens are playing this. So we need to end on a hopeful bit, or else, like that would be depressing for all these kids or whatever. And it would hurt the game. Where I think the game succeeds is all of its like mood and tone that I've already talked about. And it's like, it's strange, like focus of like, hey man, you think you're doing the right thing. And I love how like little dialogue is in the game. You don't know who this girl is. You don't know if it's your sister. You don't know if it's your friend. You don't know if it's your girlfriend, your wife, nothing. Like you have no idea who this girl is, but it's clearly someone that the main character cares about. So you are on board in that journey as well. But what you initially think of as a noble cause is actually like just like this super evil and demonic one. And I think that's super interesting to have that subversion in it. Like even the deity you talk to is clearly a demonic evil deity. But how is he introduced? By panning the camera up, showing a bunch of bright light, and a voice comes through the clouds. That's in Western culture a god. That is someone you look up to. So that is someone you praise and you adore. But in reality, it's this evil demon manipulating this young boy into doing his bidding so that he can come back and be evil or whatever. That's super interesting as just a concept for a video game specifically in this era. And I think that's what makes the game the most like, I think that's the most interesting thing to talk about in the game, is just how much it subverts other games, and chooses so hard to just not be a traditional video game. It just doesn't care if you're having fun. It doesn't care if the gameplay loop is engaging. It doesn't care if you're bored by it. It doesn't care if you're engaged in it. It just is, which is commendable and respectable in a lot of ways. But at the end of the day, this is a video game. It is an interactive medium. And though I enjoy all of the atmosphere and the mood and sort of like the artistic integrity behind it and how it makes me feel, and that does carry me a long way, I can't deny that this game is clunky as hell. Like, it does not feel great to move throughout the world. Phil, you were praising the horse, and I like the horse from like a conceptual standpoint, but the way it controls is frustrating. Like, super frustrating. And some of that is intentional. Like, it's supposed to be frustrating to climb up a Colossus, and you're supposed to be like, come on, just hold on, I'm almost there, and then get thrown off, and that feeling is supposed to be there. But when the game is so focused on giving you an atmospheric experience, and you can tell in the wide valleys that they want you to feel a sense of peace. They want you to be thinking about your actions. They want you to, kind of be deep in thought, as the camera pulls back and it's no longer focused on your player character. It's now focused on the huge, wide, beautiful environments. It's now, you're riding through the valley, and an eagle or two will swoop down and fly next to you for a little bit, and then fly away or something. Or you'll find, like some barren trees or something, or a place to pray at, or sort of a small lake that you can kind of sit by and collect your thoughts at, and something like that. That's all great, but then I have to get on this clunky-ass horse and navigate my way around this rocky-ass bridge or through this narrow passageway and stuff, and I'm just getting frustrated that it's not doing what I want it to do.
So, to that end, I had the same problem as you, but then I found out the horse kind of just auto goes on the path that you sent him on. That
That-
kind of makes exploring a lot easier.
Yeah, that as well is like when I'm in the big wide areas and so forth, I don't touch the stick. I just I just tap the X button to just go. Or the triangle button is it? I forget which. Yeah, which
it was
again,
triangle.
The control scheme of this game is outrageous. It's ridiculous.
I was not into it. Yeah,
it's even different in the remake than it is in the original game. The original game has an even more ridiculous control scheme, but like they tweaked it a little bit in this one to make it feel a little bit better, but it's still man, this is weird, man. And I think it's all just set in how sort of the animations and the mechanics of getting on a horse, jumping from a cliff to a Colossus and holding on type thing. All of the way those mechanics work together kind of requires a unique control scheme.
Even jumping from horseback onto a Colossus.
Yeah, like it's just the way these mechanics blend together. Like you just can't really put it with a modern era control scheme in mind.
Right.
And it really is just like frustrating to use the controls, like the clunkiness of putting your sword away, pulling out your bow and arrow, aiming your arrow with the bow and arrow doesn't feel good, swinging your sword doesn't feel good. Now granted, it's not really supposed to, but it's still just like it's stopping me from doing what I want to do. It's a roadblock from experiencing this serenity that the devs want me to experience. And for that, like, I just got to take a couple of points off of it. And also, it just not being much of a video game, like, I thought about it, like, while I was playing it and enjoying it. I was like, man, I wonder what the platinum's like. One of the worst platinum trophy lists I've ever seen. Requires, like, 6 playthroughs. It's fucking ridiculous. Yeah. And I forgot where I was going with that. But like just by the time I got to the end of the credits, I was done. I was satisfied. I was fulfilled. It only took me like 3.5 hours, but I walked away thinking, oh, okay, this is what that is. And now I'm gonna go sit and stew on it and think about it and think about what they were trying to say and how I feel about it and its influence on gaming and so forth. But there's a very real possibility that I'll never play this game again.
Yeah, it doesn't really give you much reason to play more since it's such a streamlined game, which is good when you're first playing it. It didn't have a lot of clutter, so it gave you an experience up front. It said this is what you're doing, and you do it, and then once that's over, you put the game down.
You're
and
done.
If you are particularly acclimated to this kind of game, you want to keep playing it, by all means do it. But it definitely is a game that doesn't really scream replay value. I certainly deleted it off my PS5 the moment I finished it, and I don't think I'll ever come back to it. It's not even one of those games that's, I keep saying the word overrated, but, usually with those kinds of games, you want to go back and visit it every now and then, see what your opinion is of it, and if it changes. But this one, I'm very confident I know, my first take on the game is what I'm going to feel on the game.
See, in Connor, that's how I've technically I've played the PS4 remake when it came out, and that was my first time to completion. But I did play the PlayStation 3 remaster that Blue Point had also done, and I think they did that one. Someone Google that and make sure I'm correct about that, about the PlayStation 3 remaster. Who did that? Because it came in a 2-pack with the Ico and Shadow of the Colossus. On the PS3 remaster, I got maybe 7 or 8 Colossus through and then put it down. The PS4 remake, I played it all the way through, and I felt very much how you guys feel, where I'm like, man, this is overrated as hell.
It was Blue Point.
It was Blue Point? Okay. And then when I played it again this time, this was the most effective playthrough I had, where I actually really started appreciating all of the subtle things that they were doing and sort of just how the atmosphere really does expand and build on itself. But it just... It will never rank to me as one of my personal favorite games, but it will always be a memorable game to me. I will not forget my experience with this.
I'm interested to play Ico, the spiritual successor, prequel, something like that.
It's the game before this one. It's the prequel.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the same characters or whatnot, but
what's
it would be
interesting
to play that game and see how they differ.
What's interesting about it is the game is almost like a cycle, right? Because you become the horned boy that is also an Ico, or eco, however you pronounce
Oh
it.
yeah. I forget it. Yeah.
So I think it goes in a circle basically, or it can.
There is a lot of ties between this one and Eco, and there's been a lot of debate over many years of like how they tie together and so forth. But I think it's one of those things that there's no like solid like evidence of any of it. Like it's just a lot of similar imagery and so forth. They tried to do it again with Last Guardian, but I think that, which is the most recent game this team has developed,
It's like 2016, right?
something like that. It might have been even a little bit earlier. I want to say maybe a 2015 game. And then, but that one clearly is just a wholly different, like whole different thing. And you know, it just didn't connect with audiences as much as this one did, and so forth. But yeah, I mean, I do like this game. I like this experience. I like the emotion of it, but it's just something where I'm just like, man, I don't want to go kill those Colossus again. And maybe that's a testament to, because like Connor kind of mentioned, you feel bad for killing them, because like you know, they like, I had my sister watch me play, because my mom and my sister are really into horses. So, like my sister is going into school to be an equestrian physical therapist, and so what's funny is I'm playing the game, I'm fully immersed, I'm in this experience or whatever. My mom comes in to see what I'm doing, and she takes one look at the horse and goes, "Oh my God, what is that? How is that horse running that way?" And if you look at it, dude, its back legs are so janky. Like it's like the bend in the knee is too exaggerated, but the way it runs is like, it's like this. Like there's no actual bend in the leg. It's all in the hip. And so like the hip is just like over, like working it all. Like this horse should be put down because it should not be moving this way. It's in immense pain. And so then like my sister came into town and we showed her it, and she was like, "Oh my God, this is ridiculous." And I was like, guys, I was like totally like oblivious to the horse. Like I knew it looked a little janky, but in like a PS2 janky animation way.
Sure.
But like now I'm like hyper focused on it, and I'm like this is a remake. This is a 2018 remake. Why did they not fix this? Like, for what purpose did they keep this janky ass animation in there?
Keep the spirit of the original game alive, Tim. We already talked about this.
Yeah, my mom also yelled at me for kicking the horse too much, and I was like, "Because the horse slows down." She goes, "No, it won't. It's a horse. Once you tell it to go, it's gonna go." And I go, "No, watch. It slows down and it stops." And like, and I gotta keep going. So, oh man. But yeah, like I really do love how empty this world is, which is so weird because like games like Breath of the Wild bored me. And I think it's because Breath of the Wild is so focused on being a video game, and this one's not. And also the world of Breath of the Wild is so much larger. You know, like let's be honest, it's like what, a minute long horse ride to each Colossus, if that.
Something like that. Even if even that long.
Yeah, like the only time you're like in extended periods of time in between action is just because you get lost. You're like, where am I going? Oh, okay, got it. Like, I think it was the electric lizard one that's in like the Colosseum type thing that you have to get up on the wall. Like you have to like cross like a specific bridge and go through a cave to get to that one. And I was like, I don't know how to get to this one. So I like ran around the whole mountain and then saw it, and I was like, oh shit, I just have to go through here.
So yeah, I think it only is. So I was saying earlier how surprised I was at how short this game is. I think so. Do you know if the in-game timer stops for cutscenes?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I think it does, because it felt like I was playing the game for longer than just 4 hours and 7 seconds. But that's what my in-game clock was.
Maybe. I mean, there's not a lot of cutscenes going on, though.
But I mean, like anytime like it goes in the letterbox, like
mode, you know? Okay, and it's like, hey, your next target is this, that, and the third.
Right.
I don't know. Let me see. I mean, this footage that we're watching is 4 hours and 20 minutes, and that includes the opening cutscene, which does not include your game time. Your game time, because it's before the menu.
Right. Which threw me off.
That was a thing for PS2 games. Is like you know, don't press any buttons once you put the game in, because you know it was the PS2. Like games just started. Like they just went. So like, you know, you putting the game in and sitting down was your, you know, press play button essentially. So you just kind of had to sit and wait for the menu, which was interesting. Kind of defeats the purpose of having an intro cutscene because then you see it a dozen times. But then, like, I guess, like, if you're a kid and you're just mashing X through the thing, you know,
Right.
eventually, you know, you put the game down, you pick it back up, you put it down, you pick it back, and then you see the intro premise of it all, which is all, you know, fascinating. Did we have any? Go ahead.
I was gonna see if we could go ahead and get into least favorite and favorite Colossi.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Do you want to go ahead and kick it off? Do you have ones in mind? Or?
Sure. I can go favorite right now.
Uh-huh.
The one you mentioned, the lizard in the Colosseum. I liked that guy a lot.
I liked him as well. Yeah. That was. I think that was the first one I died at because I was not 100% sure what I was supposed to be doing.
Yeah, I figured it out real quick, and then I even got the trophy for one cycling him. Not letting him get back up. So.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yep.
Yeah. That's cool. I don't think I have that. Connor, do you have a favorite?
I guess the bird.
That's your favorite?
I
That's
liked
a
the
good one.
bird. I liked the
Bird one's
bird
good.
too. The bird has a sense of epicness to it, you know.
I like
yeah,
this guy
the
that's on
most-
screen right now too, the warrior or whatever.
Yeah, the super tall one, the tallest one in the game with the sort of sword arm.
Oh, he's not the tallest one in the game.
He's
Tallest one in the
definitely not.
game's 16.
You're right. You're correct. Now that I'm looking at him, but
Yeah, but think
I
about
always
that.
forget about 16 because I hate 16 so much.
It's not good. That one's not
Not
good.
good.
It's not my least favorite though. You guys go ahead and get into your favorites, and we'll talk about my least favorite after.
Yeah, so I'm with the bird. I'm with the lizard in the Colosseum one. And I liked this tall one right here. I think those are all kind of classics. One that it's not a particularly good Colossus, like admittedly, but I just kind of like it, is the one that's in the water, but it's like it's like a swamp thing looking water one where you have to get it to like step up on the platforms to then jump on it.
Oh,
it's
the one with
like
the teeth in the forehead.
Yeah, the teeth in the forehead thing. Which was like kind of a clunky and tough stuff, or not tough stuff. It was kind of clunky and just like hard to navigate in the like classic clunky way that it is to navigate anything in this game. But I don't know, just that twist kind of like of like mechanics kind of worked with me. Least favorites, I mean, it's a three-way tie for me between the bull, the dog, or 16. Like, did not like any of those. Like, straight up, would rather they were not in the game at all.
The bull being the one where you have to get the fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
That was
one's
my
my
least
least favorite. That's my least favorite too. That one fucking sucks.
Yeah, that one, and then the dog that just like knocks down the pillars the whole time. I'm like,
I liked that one
That
better.
one, I actually like that one a lot. I really, because I was like jumping.
I don't know about a lot.
It's
I don't know
very
about a lot. I liked that one better than the fucking fire one. That one was a piece of shit, and I hated it.
Yeah,
Fine.
and I think it's just because they move so fast and they just beat your ass. Like,
Yeah.
they like straight up just like will not let you get up. Like,
I was gonna say I couldn't even like I tried to dodge roll, and like 50% of the time I was still getting hit.
yeah, doesn't
No.
really work at all.
Another one I hated. I really did. Was I think it's like the fourth one, the underwater electric one.
Oh, the
And-
lizard, the sea lizard. I kind of
I
liked that
liked
one.
that
I
one.
didn't hate that one.
My issue with it is, I kind of touched on it a little bit. Anything that involved swimming was very slow and clunky. So
Yeah.
when you're in the water and trying to, get his attention, it moves so slow. I missed the
that's-
tail that comes up so many times. Cause
That's that one to me is a let him come to me one. Like, I'm just gonna swim in the same circle, and then I'm gonna just as soon as he goes up, I'm going up with him because I'm on top of him.
If we're talking about like the earlier ones, like I think it might be number 7 or 6, but it's the like giant with the beard in the kind of
Oh, yes.
underground area.
The
You
giant.
didn't like that one, or you did?
No, I do. I do
Oh,
like that
okay,
one.
okay, yeah. I was
I
gonna
like
say
how
that
you
one.
That was
you
fun.
hide in the little crevice, and he goes.
Yeah.
He dives
Yeah,
down with his
he
beard
like
and
goes to like see, hey,
like,
where are you,
"What?"
motherfucker? Yeah, that one to me is, I believe, the first example of actually how good the music is in this game. It's really good because that's the first one
Yeah.
that like plays the hero theme and the epic movement because he like
Right.
lurches back and it's this cool cinematic like thrashing as you're like holding on for dear life.
It is really cool.
Like this small little speck in this giant world.
the one that I was
Jaquise
talking about
the-
earlier.
Real quick, Jaquise the
Okay.
Epic in the chat, Connor says you have unspoken Riz.
Whoa.
Connor has
you.
unspoken Riz. All right.
Thank
Unspoken
you.
Riz. Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
the one that I was talking about that scared the shit out of me, like jump scared me, was the sand snake guy.
Oh, I didn't care for that one.
Yeah, so I died to him because I didn't realize I had to be on aggro the whole time.
Ah,
So
yeah.
I got killed by him because I crossed in front of one of the rocks, but he just went through it anyway and still got me.
Yeah.
So that killed me, and then it just popped up with like the music sting, and then his face just in the fucking camera. I was like, "What the fuck?"
Whoa! that was one
eyes.
that was one of the ones that I was like, okay, I know I'm supposed to be on the horse, and I know he's like going to run into something, and that gives me the opportunity to get him, but I don't remember how to do it. So like, I spent a cool 5 minutes like trying to like Buffalo, like Toro, like trick him into running into one of the pillars or something. And I was like, this isn't working. And then eventually I was like, oh, he'll just follow me for as long as I'm running. So like, and he's got bigger eyes than usual. So like, maybe try shooting an arrow into his, oh, okay, that's how you do it. All right, great.
Yep. It was, it was fairly easy how to figure everything out. The only one that I really had issues with was number 16 and like trying to figure out what exactly I can climb and what all I'm supposed to do.
That's the one that bugs me the most because that's the most video gamey of all of them because it's like the heaviest focus on platforming, which sucks. It's the heaviest focus on like timing when you're running through your different environments so you don't get blown up or whatever, which sucks also. And like
He does a red herring move where like if you follow it, it's like not what you're supposed to do or something. Like whenever you're on his left hand when you like first jump onto it, and then he kind of like keeps turning it around trying to get you off whatever.
Yeah.
When you get onto his thing, you hit a weak point on his like forearm, and then his other hand comes, but you're not supposed to jump on the other hand.
Is that how that works?
Yeah, because if you jump on that, he's all the way over here, and you have to like try to jump really hard.
Then you got to get to his shoulder or some shit, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So if you stay on the arm, you can then jump from his forearm to like his neck.
Interesting.
And then you can get onto his shoulder that way.
Didn't do that at all. I totally jumped back and then like sort of like finagled my way onto it. And that was the longest thing of him like getting from the first arm to the hand.
Yeah.
Was a like tricky jump to figure out how to do.
It just felt like he kept on turning like the same way. I'm like, what does his joint articulate all the way around? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I really don't like that last one, and it kind of leaves a sour taste in my mouth, and it hurts my ability to enjoy what happens in the final cutscene. Which, by the way, when you guys turn into the giant demon thing, did y'all like successfully move around or kill anything in that?
Somewhat.
I found out what to do by the time the guys had already left, so I basically couldn't do a thing. Yeah.
And it's weird because it's like the game has no,
You can't escape anyway.
No, yeah, the game has no alternate ending. So I initially I was like, am I supposed to kill these things? And then like maybe that like releases evil into the world if I kill the shaman character or whatever. And it's just like, nah, he just gets away. It's just it. And
runs away, throws your sword into a puddle.
Yeah. And then I like that they're like, fuck it, burn the last bridge, get rid of all of this. Like we need to cut off all ties from this land. Did y'all ever go back to any of the old Colossus locations?
Yes, and it's.
I went by a few, and they were just like
that.
Sand piles. Yeah,
they're like it looks like 1,000 years has passed on them, and it just kind of adds to that level of like sadness in the game where you're like, you were just like going on a casual Sunday stroll, and I came in and fucking stabbed you to death, like slowly. Oh, that sucks.
One last Colossi I just want to bring up because I did enjoy him a lot was 15. The one where it was the guardian of the ancient city, and
with the bridges.
Yes.
I did not like. I don't like how you get up there. It took me fucking forever.
Oh, really?
Fucking forever. And it was one of those ones where I was like, there's several through the game where you have to like manipulate their behavior, and you have to wait for them to. All right, come on, dude, come over here. Like the crab one, you have to get him over the geysers so that he knocks himself over or whatever.
He was a turtle, not a crab.
Tomato. He's like a little bit of everything.
Crustacean, one is a reptile.
He's like they're all like little bits of everything or whatever. And then you have to like not like shoot his feet to get him to fall over. So I like that one, but the one you're talking about, Connor, don't like him at all because he's the most like confusing to me. Like crabs, turtles, what's the difference? I mean, come on, guys! Like they're not like defined like this is what that is. Like it's very much like a infer that this is based off of this type of animal. So it looked crustacean-y. It's on a beach. It's it's on a dried up lake.
It's a guy. Technically.
All right. Anyways, but no, yeah, that last one, Connor, which is funny. That last one, I remember my first playthrough giving me a lot of trouble, and I got to the second, in this new playthrough, I got to him, and I was like, okay, this one gave me a lot of trouble, and I had to look it up the first time. I'm not gonna look it up this time. How do I fucking do it? And it took me a solid 10 minutes to even realize he had to step on the fucking thing.
Yeah, well, the only weird thing about him was on his hand where his weak point was. I tried to jump on it normally, and I couldn't. I was like, well, I guess that's not the way to do it, because I did it like 4 times. And then I couldn't find any other way to do it. And so I was like, okay, maybe I do just jump on the hand. And then for some reason, kind of adds to the jankiness of the game that I touched on a little bit as well. I just didn't grab onto it properly the other times. And so I just, for some reason, did it. I don't know what I did differently, but I was able to beat him that way. It was just kind of a weird moment that the games sometimes have, depending on just based off how you climb and hold yourself and whatnot.
How do you get him to drop? How do you get him to drop it?
You just there's a weak point on the back of his elbow that you.
Oh, that's right. You gotta stab that, and he drops it that way. Anyways, but yeah, I think that just about covers it, guys. It's just that, hey, it's a janky game, but it's got a statement to make, and we enjoy that statement, even though it doesn't make for the most entertaining video game ever.
This is definitely one of those games where if I had it as a kid, and it's just one of those games where it's like one of the only ones that you have, so you just play the shit out of it.
Yeah, and
so
it just sort of like
this...
leaves an emotional impact on you, even though like the game around it can get in the way. But like if you were nostalgia blind of it, like you wouldn't even care about those things.
Yep. This if I had it back then, I would be that way for this game.
For sure. So, gentlemen, that just about does it for our main review. So let's go ahead and talk about where this bad boy ranks. I've got to change this thing right here. And this, I think, is what's going to be interesting. Oh, did I not have this in the right mode?
While you're doing that, Tavin, one thing I'm always like with these reviews is I'll come into it with a certain, like, okay, it's going to go here. But then as I talk about it, you kind of change either within yourself when you vocalize things or based off of you guys saying, your own takes on the game. And this is one of those cases where it happened. It's kind of one of the always the interesting parts of this game club, knowing how it's going to alter after the review.
And see, this is to me the most interesting one to put in this list.
Yeah,
and
I'm not sure how it's going to end up.
I have no idea where this is going to land. I'm pretty sure it's not going to be at the bottom or the top, but where in the middle is it going to land is where I'm thinking of.
I know where I want it, and I know where I'm okay with it being.
I know what game I do not want it to go above. And that's where I'm stopping. And then it's just a matter of like, do I put it below or above other ones? So to start out, the list as it stands right now is number 14, Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze. Number 13, Batman Arkham Asylum. Number 12, Uncharted 1. Number 11, Halo Combat Evolved. Number 10, Resident Evil 4. Number 9, Portal. Number 8, Resident Evil 7, Chrono Trigger. Number 6, Dishonored. Number 5, Portal 2. Number 4, Yakuza 0. Number 3, Hades. Number 2, The Last of Us. And number 1, God of War Ragnarok. Who wants to start the bidding of where they would like to see this one land?
I want Connor to go first.
Fair enough.
Interesting. Let's go. Connor, where are you thinking, my friend?
As I just said a second ago, my opinion sometimes changes during the review, and this is one of those instances where it happened. My original position was going to be at the, I guess, how did these numbers work? How do placements work again? Numbers and things work?
Okay, whichever one you put it underneath is the one.
Yes.
Number 1.
Yes. I know. I know now. I was going to put it before Portal. Because, it's a puzzle game, so I compared it a lot to it, and it has a lot more of a punch to it than Resident Evil 4 does. But so ultimately...
real quick, so are you saying you wanted it at number 9 originally? Or that you wanted it at number 10?
Number 10.
He would want it at number
10. 4.
Okay.
But as I looking back at Resident Evil 4 during our review, I'm like, despite how the aesthetic of this game really speaks to me, and the tone carries the game through it a lot. The gameplay and level design of Resident Evil 4 was so entertaining, and I just had more fun playing it at the end of the day. Both of them don't really have a plot to compare. Resident Evil 4 is more wacky, which in my mind actually kind of makes it better, especially since there's so little plot in Shadow of the Colossus. So for that reason, I'm going to put it at the new number 11. Right
Below Resident Evil 4, above Halo Combat
Above
Evolved.
Halo.
Interesting.
I would like to go next now, Tavin.
Yeah, where are you, Phil?
Tavin, I'm putting Shadow of the Colossus at the new number 12.
Wow, underneath...
Dang.
Oh, no, above Uncharted 1, but below Halo.
Correct.
Interesting. Okay.
Makes sense.
Expound on that. Why there?
Just because I kind of was thinking to myself, like, what would I be okay that's so good to me and in my like gaming repertoire, what would be so good that I would be down to just like after putting this game down, what would I be willing to play again, you know? And I can see myself wanting to play like if I was like, yeah, I could load up some Halo right now. I could do that, but I don't feel as much of an urge to load up Uncharted 1 again. For that matter, I don't know about ever again. Maybe Arkham Asylum I would play again just to like get the platinum for, but then never again. I would be okay with that. And then like Tropical Freeze, I think I've already played more of that game than I will again. So for that reason, that's why like I do have like the thought in my mind, hey, I would like to platinum Shadow of the Colossus. It'd be a cool platinum to have, you know?
It would. It really would be.
So yeah. So that's where I would also I would fucking love if Halo was on PlayStation, so I can get fucking trophies for that and platinum all of those. But for that reason, that is why Shadow of the Colossus is at my new number 12.
Respectable.
Interesting. Okay. All right. Well, I'm in the same realm as you, gentlemen. And for me, it's just really fucking hard. To me, the absolute cap is this is not going above the first Resident Evil. Like I absolutely refuse to, because I think Resident Evil says just as much artistically. I think it does just as much sort of emotionally in how it makes the player feel in its negative space without using dialogue or any of that. But Resident Evil to me is arguably infinitely replayable. It's more engaging, and it's got crazy, incredible level design. So, like, absolutely not going above Resident Evil. And then to me, yeah, it's going above Uncharted 1 for sure. To me, it's like, all right, how do I feel about Portal, Resident Evil 4, and Halo Combat Evolved, and where does Shadow land in there? And that's where it gets hard, because I'm like, I don't know, man, wherever you fucking want it, because though I think mechanically it's way less interesting than Halo and Resident Evil 4 and even Portal, but artistically I have so much more respect for it than all three of these games, honestly. And so like now it's just a level of balance and what day you catch me on where these land. And right now my greatest debate, and I believe it's the one that is actually gonna cement where it places, is whether or not it goes above or below Resident Evil 4. And today, right? Because Connor, you wanted to put it above Resident Evil 4.
No, Halo. I want to put it above Halo before Resident Evil 4.
Okay. I see.
He wants it at 11. I want it at 12.
You wanted it at 12. Okay. Well, okay, then that does the thinking for me, and I guess then I'll go below Resident Evil 4 because Resident Evil 4 is a little more replayable. I could see the itch of me randomly one day wanting to reload up that game, even with the RE4 remake out. I just see those as kind of two separate games. Like there is a world in which I do load up the OG Resident Evil 4 again. And Shadow, I don't know if I ever will, but I'm sure 5, 6, 7 years will go by and I'll be like, let me go re-experience Shadow of the Colossus again. So I'm going to agree with Connor there, and I'm going to put it at the new number 11 above Halo, below Resident Evil 4.
And Tavin, let me just say, I still am fine with that because that is what I mentioned I would be okay with.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is a space I would be okay with that.
Halo also just feels exactly like so like duct taped together. Like
it can sometimes, yeah.
So it's
I get what you mean.
Whereas this is clearly the experience they want you to have. Like they did what they wanted to do, and we're playing it. Whereas like Halo, it's like I can see where you're going, but you're not quite there.
Just wait till Halo 2, guys.
Wait for Halo 2, indeed. So there we go. The new list is as follows. Number 15, Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze. Number 14, Batman Arkham Asylum. Number 13, Uncharted 1. Number 12, Halo Combat Evolved. Number 11, Shadow of the Colossus. Number 10, Resident Evil 4. Number 9, Portal. Number 8, Resident Evil. Number 7, Chrono Trigger. Number 6, Dishonored. Number 5, Portal 2. Number 4, a very highly placed Yakuza 0. Number 3, Hades. Number 2, The Last of Us. Number 1,
Deservedly.
God of War Ragnarok.
Sam, are you salty about that? Are you salty about that position?
I'm not salty. It's just I just think Portal 2 is just such a better game than Yakuza, but that's fine.
You have large scale beat 'em ups in Portal 2?
No, but I mean it's this thing that we've talked about before, where it's like there's already clearly very much tiers forming within this list of like S tier, A tier. I don't think there's anything below a B. I think I've said it in this list. And to me, Yakuza 0 is the top of the A tier, and Portal 2 is S tier standard.
Well, not on this list.
Not on this list. Here we go. So, gentlemen, it's time to find out what we're playing again next month. So, last month, we took out The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. We took out, as always, ladies and gentlemen, if you're new to the show, we let a giant spinner wheel of a collection of currently 96 titles are on this list, randomly pick the game for us.
So many.
It's so many games every time, and it stayed at this number for so long because we keep adding shit as we're taking them away. We each have an opportunity to eliminate a game from selection for the month, but next month it needs to stay in rotation. So Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is in rotation this month no matter what. Alien Isolation and Death Stranding, all three of those games have to be in the rotation this month. And now, we take 3 new games out if we choose to. Maybe we're just like, you know what, fuck it. Whatever happens, happens. I am not in the mood to stretch my sort of modern-day gaming conventions out too much right now. I'm just not in the mood to play something really old. Not in that mood. Sometimes you are, sometimes you're not. Sometimes you're indifferent. Today, I'm going to pull out Final Fantasy VI.
Tavin, I was going to be so upset if you were going to click Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. Like, what are you talking about?
Connor, I have no idea how that game plays. I don't even know what type of game that is. Like,
by the way, I have a suggestion.
Yes, sir.
Can I take my game that I want to take out? I'll do that first, just because I'm going to be playing a lot of Baldur's Gate 3 this month, and I don't really want too many heavy RPG experiences. I'm going to vote to take out Disco Elysium.
Disco Elysium. Excellent.
Yes.
I'm going to find that in the list somewhere here, and then I'm going to take it out. There we go. And then you were going to suggest something, sir?
Can we add, because I just mentioned it, and I was like, it's not on here. Halo 2. Can we add that to the
Is it not in here?
Is that possible? I didn't see it.
You should have replaced it whenever we took the original Halo out.
I should have, but like the save system gets weird in this game. So hold on.
Yeah.
I'll find Disco Elysium. There it is, right there. Boom.
Yes.
Out the list this month. And then I'll look around for it. It's not that low. I thought it was in here, but maybe it's not in here, so I'll make sure it's in there. It won't be in the Discord chat, Connor, because I update the site as opposed to updating the you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Of course. That's what I thought was the best way to do it anyway.
You know what? You might be right. I don't see Halo 2 in here.
Yes, it's not. It's an easy game to play. It's always
true.
make it easy month for whatever game we play in the Halo franchise.
Now 97 titles. Phil, what are you taking out this month?
I am taking out Jedi Fallen Order.
Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Someone started his Jedi Survivor playthrough.
I did.
Yeah. So he doesn't want to double dip, much like me last month with Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom.
Well, you're still playing Tears, so.
Jedi Fallen Order. Here we go. All right, gentlemen. It's time. Time for the spin.
Spin it.
God, something. I mean, we can go like a little big, but hopefully not crazy big. But
I don't think I want crazy big either.
Yeah, it's always exhausting whenever a crazy big game comes into this list. It's always just exhausting. And we have Prey.
Now, Prey as in the very first game.
I think the remake from.
I put not the remake, but the reboot from Arcade.
Yeah, reboot. Yeah, that's what I meant.
Okay.
Is
Interesting.
what that is. So
Spooky.
Arcane's Prey is now our game for next month that we will be reviewing at the beginning of September. We're going to play throughout August, and I'm very excited. Dishonored, the last Arcane game we played. So hopefully, is Dishonored 2 in here? It is. Great. Fantastic. So hopefully we will feel just as highly about Prey as we do about Dishonored. Ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be it for your 2-penny Game Club review of Shadow of the Colossus. Let us know how you felt about Shadow of the Colossus down in the comments below. Did we rank it too high? Did we rank it too low? Where would you personally like to see it? And how is your list looking so far? Throw down any suggestive titles that you want to see in the Game Club list. And until next time, have a great time. Gentlemen, say goodbye to the people.
Bye. Have a great time.
See ya.